Welcome back everyone to Data Science for Everyone. Today we're going to be talking about JavaScript and higher order functions. So let's get started. So today what we're going to be looking at is how to define higher order functions. So basically what they are. We're going to talk about several built-in functions: map, filter, and reduce. We're going to talk about how to apply higher order functions to real-world business problems using array data. And we're also going to, I'll show you guys how to write your own higher order functions that accept callbacks. So before we move on, let's talk about what exactly are these higher order functions. So higher order functions is a function that makes and that takes either one or more functions as an argument and returns another function as its result. So we can think about this as a higher order function as a manager, and it doesn't do the task itself, but it delegates those tasks to other functions, ergo its employees. So let's go on, and this first one here is going to be our built-in functions, and we're going to talk about map. So let's go over, and let's actually start talking about our first one. So first one we're going to look at is map, and we want to go on, and map is actually used for transforming data. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's go on and create up a couple arrays. Okay, so const here prices USD, and we'll just let this go on and fill in here. And let's create up a const for our exchange rate here, and we'll let this be 1.2. And then let's do const prices for the euro here. And again, this is prices USD dot map. And here inside here, we're using an arrow function. So it'd be price multiplied by our exchange rate. Okay. And then finally, we would console log out our prices. And our expected output here should be 12, 24, 36, 48, and 60. Now, just to make sure that this works, let's go on and open up our index.html. And I will bring it over here. Let's go on and inspect. And we'll look at the console here. Oh, and let's make sure that we actually save this. Let's go back here. Let's save. Let's make sure our script is working. All right. Go back. Let's refresh. There we go. And see here we're getting our 12, 24, 36, 48, 60 coming out. Okay, that works quite well. So now let's try another business example here. So pricing after discounts. Okay, so here let's do const original prices, and let's give here let's actually change this so that it can be dynamic. So const discount rate, and we'll say we'll give them a 10% discount. So then we can say const discounted prices is equal to our original prices dot map here, and it's price multiplied by 1 minus our discount rate. And again, we can have our discounted out prices out. We can save this. We can go back over here. We can refresh. And notice now we have both of them popping out as expected. Okay. Now let's go on and let's take a look at, I'm going to actually comment these out. And let's go on and talk about the filter method. Okay, and this is about selecting data. So the first thing we want is to create, and what we do with filter, okay, is when you want to select items from an array that meet a specific condition. So let's set up some transactions, and this is just going to be 120, -50, and we'll just let these kind of fill in here. So we want to const out our expenses. So this is going to be our transactions dot filter. We want our amount, and when our amount is less than 0, so anytime that we are actually spending money, so we should have these three values coming out. And let's console log our expenses, and again we're expecting 50, 30, and -100. 50, 30, -100. That works out well. Now let's do this with an example here. So we'll have a business example, and this is filter customers by purchase activity. Okay, so const customers, and we'll have 30 or 5030. Let's do something like 2 here maybe. Okay, so we can do const active customers, and here we want to make sure that our customer, and we're going inside of our customer purchases. So again, here to access any of these, we would do customers dot, and so for example here we want their purchases, and if we do console dot log, oops, let's remove that. Oh, and this needs to be const. Okay. We can actually see here that customers dot purchases here, if I refresh this, gives us undefined. Okay, and it should. Now if we use the filter method on this though, and we say customer dot purchases is greater than 0, because then here it's technically grabbing, for example, we're saying we're grabbing Alice, or Ben customers. Here we go. Alice dot purchases. Okay, and we refresh this. Type error. Undefined is not an object. That's not right. Let's try that again. Customers. And we want, let's do, actually we can do it this way. We can actually just say, let's do it in a loop here. Just so you can see, I want to kind of show you guys what this is doing here. Okay, so let's do, well, let's do show customers first. Okay, so no, we have this here, and we can say inside here we want 0. And notice then we have our item, and then we want to grab the purchases from in there. There we go, and so now we get 5. Okay, and so that's technically what's going on here, is we're saying for each customer inside this list, because notice this is a list, so this is a list of objects representing customers. Okay, and so what we're wanting to do here is go through and grab our active users. So those people that actually have purchases, and you know what, let's turn this back to 0 so we only have 2. And then we can do console log active customers. And if we refresh now, we get Alice and Charlie. Okay, and again, we could always make this into something a little bit nicer later on. But we don't want to spend too much time on this right now. And so now let's go on and talk about reduce, which is about aggregating data. So if we have our sales data, and we want, we'll just say total here is equal to sales.reduce. And so I'm going to stop with it right here for a second. And you see here we have an accumulator current. Okay, so what we usually do with this is we give it a name. So here I want the sum of all of these for each sale of the sales. And then I want to take the sum plus the sale, and I want the starting value to be 0. So we use reduce when we want to accumulate a result from an array. So we could do the sum, we could do the average, we could do a grouped count, etc. So what's happening here is we are taking all of these numbers and we're adding them together, but we need somewhere to keep that information, and that's going to be here, the accumulator or sum, and the current value inside of each of these. So at one point it'll be 100, then 200, then 300, etc. And we want our starting value to be 0. So we'll be starting this at 0, 0 plus 100, then 100 plus 200, okay, 300 plus 300, 600 plus 400, etc. So, and then if we do our console log out, this should be 1500, and let's double check this. Great, 1500 is the way to go. Now let's create up another business example here. And I'm going to, this is starting to get a little messy. And I'm going to do those as well. So let's do a calculate revenue from orders. Okay, so first off, we want const orders, and this is going to be, again, a list of items here, and I want this to actually, I don't like this here. I want this to be an ID of 1 and the amount that we have, and let's just go in and have it fill in with some items, okay? So we're going to reduce, and we're going to get how many orders we have here, and so we're going to do const total, well, this isn't total revenue, actually, this is just revenue, is equal to orders dot reduce, and we want here a total, or well, let's call this what it is. This is an accumulator, so I'm just going to say ACC for here. Order, and we want the order plus the amount. And again, this is going to be our 1500 because again, it's just the same math that we did before. But let's go on and make sure that this works. Good, 1500, and let's change it so that we know that it's not outputting from before. So, and this should wind up being our 1800, and here we'll, just for my notes, I will change this to 1800. All right, next up, let's go on and create up a custom higher order function. Okay, and this is going to be a logging wrapper. Okay, so With custom higher order functions, you can write your own. What that means is that we can write up our own function that accept other functions as arguments. So let's go on and create up a function called with logging. This is going to take in a function. It's going to return function args, so it's going to take some amount of arguments in here. And here, I don't want this. I want console.log. Here we're running function with arguments. Okay, and then we're going to have it return the function with the arguments. Okay, now let's create up a function. So const multiply. So here it's taking a and b and is multiplying them. And then now we can create up a new function here, and it's called logged multiply. So, oops, it'll be logged multiply, and here we can take in two numbers. So we want to take in 2 and 3, and our output should say running function with arguments 2, 3, and then it should give us the output. So let's run this. And 6. Running function with arguments 2, 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. Great. So that is working perfectly fine. Maybe we want to try another one. So let's do const, and let's do addition. And let's do const log add is equal to with logging add. And then we want to make sure and have add with 5 and 7. So let's go over here. Let's refresh. Great. Running function with arguments 5, 7. 5 plus 7 is going to be 12. So now we have made sure that that actually works. Great. So let's actually do one more example for today. And let me put that off here. And this here is, let's create up a data processing pipeline, okay? So let's say const, we have feedback scores, and we want to filter low scores, double high scores, then sum. Okay? So, oops. Const our result is going to be our feedback scores dot filter our scores, let's make them greater than 3. Map, we want to multiply to double our high scores. So here we're mapping, whoops. So here we are filtering out our high scores. Whoops. Here we want to double those high scores. Here we want to go on and reduce them. And so I want to actually, I don't like using sum all the time. So let's do total score with our total, which is our accumulator, plus our score of 0. And now we should be able to console log the result, and it should be 36. And again, let's go on and give that a try. Oh, 42. All right, so let's make sure that this is doing things correctly, because again, we got, this is always, oh, so I guess this should be also a learning outcome here, okay? So let's go back and let's refresh it again. Notice this is 42. We were letting Copilot kind of run things for us a little bit, but notice here its output suggestion is going to be wrong here. It has a couple different things that it wants to say here, right? So the output should be, which it is, 42. So let's make sure we have this. We have 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. Okay, and just so, I'm going to bring up a calculator just so we can do this properly, and I'll keep everything. I'll keep everything logged. It's going to be on a different screen here, but we have 4 times 2 is 8. We have 5 times 2 is going to be 10. Okay. And then we have plus 3. Plus 2 plus 8 plus 10 plus 1. And that gives us 42. So, I don't know what it was trying to do here, but what's actually happening is, and just so I'm doing this just so that our notes are properly correct. Okay, and this is why it's very important. So it should be 42 here. So So 4 times 5, 3, plus 2, plus 4 times 2, plus, oh, and this should be 5 times 2 plus 1. Okay. And for some reason, let's make sure that everything is going correctly here. So this should be greater than or equal to 3. Because this actually winds up being equal to 45. So we need to make sure that everything here is correct. So 4 times, so this should be, let's do this. Let's, whoops. Let's comment these out, and let's make sure that things are filtering properly, okay? So we still want to see the result. So let's filter everything that is greater than or equal to 3. Okay, so we get 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. So we have 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. And then we want to reduce, oh, okay, so it's wanting here to reduce. So let's make sure that it's actually doing what we want it to do. So filter low scores. So we don't want the low scores in. Okay, so that's why we're missing some here, which we don't want 2. We don't want 1. Now we get our 42. Okay? So let's refresh. Oops. Let's undo these. There we go. Now we have 42. So this is one of the reasons that I would like to make sure that you guys never fully trust your Copilot, particularly whenever it's starting to write notes and stuff, because if I go back, I'm going to copy this note because we know that this one is correct. and I go back to the notes that it created, oops, notice it said it was 36, even though the answer was coming out to 42, and it was doing some very hinky math here, okay? So we're going to go in and change that back. We'll save that. So there is a nice way of processing data. So let's go and go over our quick review for today's lesson, and I'll leave you guys with a challenge task if you guys want. So the summary here, map transforms each item. It produces a new array. Filter keeps any items that meet a condition, and it returns a new array. Reduce collapses an array into a single value, and it can be any value. So here's a nice challenge test for you guys to do at home if you guys like. So challenge tests are always optional. Never going to force anyone to do this watching the channel. But you have a list of employees with salaries. Use filter, map, and reduce. Okay, keep employees who earn more than $50,000. Apply a 5% raise, then sum the new total for the payroll. Okay, and create up your pipeline here. Okay, so these are your data. You guys can do that on your off time. If you guys like this and you want more of this content, please comment, subscribe, and hit that like button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.